Imagine this atheist couple having a romantic picnic on the beach. At first glance, anyone would think all looked perfect, like they were really in love. But this wasn't really the case. What happened is the guy smiled, brought out her favorite food, played her favorite song, then he looked in her eyes and said, "Your eyes, they are even more beautiful than the sunset." And the girl was shocked. The girl gasped and said, "Wait, what? What did you say? Did you say sunset? Did I hear you correctly?" He blinked. "Yeah, why? I just said that your eyes are more beautiful than the sunset. What is the problem?" She gasped again. "I know it. I know you're not real. I know you are imaginary. I used to doubt myself in the past, but now it's very clear that you don't exist." The guy looked completely confused. "What are you talking about? What's going on?" And then he listened to her carefully, saying, "I discovered that you don't exist when you used the word sunset. Because technically, scientifically, the sun doesn't set. The sun is always there while the earth rotates around its axis." And she left him confused, stood up, pulled out her phone and called someone else and said, "Hey baby, good news. Turns out my boyfriend didn't exist. We're free now. We have nothing to worry about, my love. We can finally be together." And with that, she walked off, leaving him alone, staring into the very sunset that apparently proved he wasn't real. And that, my friends, is what we call the atheist logic. Now, before you rush into judging her, let's be fair. Technically, she wasn't wrong. She scientifically proved that her boyfriend doesn't exist, right? No? Why not? Okay, sounds like we need to sit down and unpack this one properly.
1886 says that the sun sets in a muddy spring.
And sees the sun sinking in a muddy spring.
Where does the sun set? It sets in a spring of muddy water.
Allah says that there is a place where the sun sets. No, there isn't.
And found it setting into a blackened, muddy spring of water.
You can never reach the place of sunset, for it is forever setting somewhere, due to the Earth's constant rotation around the sun.
Again, the sun doesn't actually set in the sky, it's just that we are rotating. So, of course, the people who wrote this Quran didn't know that.
Of course the sun doesn't set or go into muddy waters at the edge of the earth.
In terms of scientific errors in the Quran, it can't get more blatant than this verse.
Assalamu alaikum. In the Quran, chapter 18, verse 86, Allah tells the story of a man called Dhul Qarnayn. Allah says, he traveled west, far west, until he can't travel anymore. Then he watched the sunset on the beach of a dark body of water. Yes, you heard it correctly. Allah used the word sunset. And, technically, the sun doesn't actually set, right? The earth rotates and stuff. Therefore, this is a scientific mistake. Therefore, God clearly doesn't exist. Finally, freedom. No more prayers, no more fasting, no more telling the truth or earning a living honestly, no more worrying about those poor people or being accountable for anyone. Now I can chase every desire I want without any guilt, because I just scientifically proved that God doesn't exist. Voila. All I did here was copy the atheist girl's logic, but apply it to the Quran. She used this logic to escape her obligations to her boyfriend, right? And I used the same logic to escape my obligations to my creator. And you know what? I can use the exact same tactic to disprove anything I don't like in this whole world. It's so easy. For example, I once heard the US president say, China, China, China. China is the most powerful country in the East. But wait a minute. He said east? Technically, there is no east or west because Earth is a sphere. On this map, China is actually on the left side. So clearly, this is a scientific mistake, which means the United States doesn't exist.
Yeah, boy.
Finally, peace on Earth. Like, there will be no more 120-something military bases threatening humanity every day. No more global surveillance, no more moral decay exported worldwide, no more exploitation of weaker nations. Why? Because I scientifically proved that the US doesn't exist. See? Easy. When I visited my doctor in my last checkup, the doctor said I am having problems with my body's internal clock. I have to fix it by fixing my sleeping schedule. So I did the logical thing that any sane person would do. Exactly. I got a full body X-ray looking for this weird internal clock that the doctor was talking about. I kept looking at the X-ray and you know what? It doesn't exist. The doctor said I have an internal clock and the X-ray proved him wrong, which means that the doctor doesn't exist. I just scientifically disproved modern medicine.
What?
How about I apply the same brilliant logic to the Quran one more time? Allah says He placed a barrier between salty and fresh water, and they don't mix. So, like any sane person, I went to one of these specific meeting points, expecting to find, I don't know, like a plastic wall or something, but I didn't see any. Therefore, this is a scientific mistake. Therefore, God doesn't exist. And finally, I can stop praying and I can stop doing this obligatory charity thing. And instead, I can spend my money on my one-night stands.
According to this verse, there must be a barrier that acts as an inviolable obstruction between the river and the sea. I could think of two possible outcomes. Land barrier between river and sea. Very sharp boundary.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the
I've been helping a lot of people find the truth and say their shahada for many years now. And almost every time before someone embraces Islam, there is this weird phase that we have to go through. The phase where he asks me to debunk all the common Islamophobic claims out there. And to be honest, it just gets old. I remember one time, a man stayed in call with me for 6 hours straight. He came up with what felt like 100 different claims that he collected from the internet, and he insisted that I have to debunk each one of them. He got some of them from Christians, he got some from atheists, and he got some from those ex-Muslims, even though we know their backstory. Anyway, I debunked all of them, and Alhamdulillah, he's our brother in Islam today. But after all of these years, I decided, you know what, I need to analyze this phenomena. And I did a lot of research that led me to believe that every single one of those claims fall under one of these 8 categories. Let's talk about them. Category number 1, translating expressions word by word. Like, for example, someone hears you say, "My laptop has a bug in it." And then he opens your laptop looking for a literal insect inside, and then calls you a liar. Taking figurative language and then forcing it into a literal box, then calling it a scientific mistake or a contradiction or whatever. Category number 2, declaring the unseen as false automatically. For example, saying that there is no scientific proof that angels exist. Of course. Therefore, angels don't exist. Or for example, saying there is no scientific proof that stars can be used in the process of punishing jinn. Therefore, this is a scientific mistake. Therefore, God doesn't exist.
So what it's saying is that stars are lamps, which isn't true, and then it's saying that the stars are missiles for the devils.
This is a textbook logical fallacy, as the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? Or in other words, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. It just means you can't see it. Category number 3. Judging Islam by the Western cultural norms. They claim some teachings of Islam are immoral because they don't match their Western cultural standards. These are usually things related to criminal punishments or family laws. The mistake they are doing here is that they are actually assuming that the Western culture is a reference for morality, while in reality we all know it is a reference for degeneracy and self-destruction. To be honest, if the Quran did promote Western culture, I would be the first one to doubt it's from God. Category number 4. Claiming that some historical stories are wrong because they contradict what they found in their Bible. The fallacy here is assuming that the Bible is correct to begin with. All that they have proved is that the Quran and the Bible are different. That's it. One of them must be wrong, yes, and if you subscribe, by the way, you will discover with me which one is. Category number 5. Claiming that the Quran copied from the Bible. And this is the ironic flip side of number 4. Because if the Quran agrees with the Bible, they say it's copied. But if it disagrees with the Bible, they say it's a mistake. So there is no pleasing them. Category number 6. Taking verses out of context. And of course, this is the most famous one because they do it a lot. Like, for example, this verse. They read the first half and purposely not read the second half. The first half says, when you meet the disbelievers, cut their necks. Oh my God, look at those Muslims, they're gonna kill everyone. Yes, but you purposely didn't read the second half. The second half says, do that in the war. Do that until the war is over, not after that. See how context makes a big difference, and see how they purposely hide the context. They usually do that because unfortunately most of the viewers on social media, on the internet, they don't like revise what they hear. They just hear it, believe it, and then hate people on comment. Category number 7. Straight up lies. Literally straight up lies, not even taking something out of context. No. Just making up lies. Like this guy, for example. Watch him with me.
Do you know Muhammad prayed in a pool full of dogs and your women's menstrual?
I honestly don't know how some of them speak with such confidence while making up pure fiction. Category number 8. Ancient straight up lies recycled. The same way the Islamophobes of today have this confidence to make up lies about Islam, Islamophobes in the past did the same. And their lies are well documented in the Islamic library. Yes, it is written because Muslim historians were honest enough to document everything, to document their opinions and to document the claims of the Islamophobes of their time. What happens is the Islamophobes of today read the same lies that was debunked 1000 years ago, but with a twist. They fool their audience into thinking that it is not a lie because look, it's inside an Islamic book. It is written by an Islamic scholar. It's not a lie. Yes, brother. It is in the Islamic book, written by the Islamic scholar, because he was giving us an example of a stupid claim that was made by a liar in the past. And if you continue reading, he will debunk it in the same book. He was not writing it as his own opinion. Examples of that are a lot, like the fake satanic verses story, or this story of a flat earth that is floating over a big whale that is floating over a big ocean. Or all of these weird fabricated stories about the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him.
Therefore, Islam is nonsense. Stay away from Islam.
Stay away from Islam.
They are a lot. But you know what? Don't worry. I'm not gonna leave you like this. I will come here every week, inshallah. I will break down those lies one by one. calmly, clearly, with solid proof. I will bring all the facts you need, the evidence, everything. But here is the ugly truth. I don't think I can do it. Yeah. Let's be real for a second. You all know how social media only pushes mindless entertainment and filth, right? And it buries voices like ours, voices that speak the truth. Islamophobic lies keep spreading like wildfire. Have you seen how those hateful videos rack up hundreds of thousands of views? Videos mocking our Deen go viral every day, while those standing up for Islam are drowned out and ignored. You know who I'm worried about? The sons and daughters of those Muslims who had to flee to Western countries because of war and other reasons. The problem is in this new generation because 90% of the content or the religious content they consume about Islam is Islamophobic claims, and 10% are responses. And unless we fight back, they might get lost. Even worse, some of them might even lose their faith. They get attacked a lot, and it's very hard for them. And this is why I'm recording this, and I will be recording future videos. But this is not only my fight. This is your fight too. Yes, you. If you stay silent, nothing will change. I kept fighting for the past 3 years in my previous channel, remember it? I had more than 1,000 uploads. More than 1,000. Even though it got restricted like 10 times. It still managed to reach hundreds of thousands of people. That is until, of course, they fully destroyed it. And please don't ask me about the reason, I am sure you can guess it. And maybe one day they will shut this one down too. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because I'm not here for followers. I'm here to deliver the message of Allah as our beloved Prophet commanded us. Peace and blessing be upon him. And I will keep doing that. But if this message dies in the algorithm, it's not on me, it's on all of us. It is your fight too. So do your part, help it spread by clicking every button down there, and then share it with your friends, share it in every group you are in. Be the reason someone finds clarity. Be the reason someone finds their way back to the truth. I will see you next week inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.